It cost Vancouver taxpayers six figures and was meant to renew focus on the downtown east side. But a report commissioned by Vancouver Police is instead being criticized as poorly compiled and of little value, if any at all. Our Penny Daflos is here. Penny, you've been looking into this report all day. It has some sensational numbers that are grabbing a lot of attention, like $5 billion a year spent on our social safety net.
Yeah, it's Vancouver's social safety net. The VPD is calling this an audit of those supports, but two things are happening. The report looks at a hodgepodge of government spending and charities for the entire city. The VPD is then trying to connect that multi-billion-dollar figure to the downtown east side specifically, even though the report's author acknowledges the numbers are deeply flawed.
The problems of the downtown east side are what Vancouver police want to put in the spotlight.
Despite more talk than ever and more money than ever in the system, it is now bleaker than ever for a growing number of people in places like the downtown east side.
And the VPD have now released twin reports claiming $5 billion a year is going to what they call Vancouver's social safety net.
It's comparable to the entire operating budget of the National Hockey League.
But the figure is for supports in the entire city and includes everything from daycares and refugee settlement to disaster planning and shopping assistance for seniors. The report's authors question whether people who need the help are getting it.
These are systemic issues, right? These are across the country, and it's no different in Vancouver.
But they also admit they don't really know how much funding is actually going to the downtown east side. $2 billion is from payments like the Canada Pension Plan and old age security for the entire city. The lead author blames data gaps for numbers she acknowledges are questionable.
We missed a whole bunch of stuff.
Vancouver Police paid Help Seeker Technologies $149,000. The province now says no one asked them for any info, and the public safety minister is slamming the sensationalized and misleading numbers.
Honestly, I think it's pretty much useless, right? It's a series of summary statistics.
This economist who conducts complex studies calls the hodgepodge of information a mess.
This is a political document. It doesn't have the empirical rigor that we would expect out of a study. And it's entirely outside the scope of what a police department should be using its resources on.
I don't think it's very useful.
Vancouver's mayor is not putting any stock in it.
After we went through the report, it prompted more questions than answers.
We realize that there are limitations, but for us, the Help Seeker SIA is a starting point for conversations.
Is missing big chunks, it's overinflating other big chunks. What kind of a foundation is that for a conversation about really serious issues?
I think it's a really good foundation because it's the first time, like, we've been talking about these issues for many years.
An interesting note as well. Remember, the VPD complained to City Council about freezing their budget and appealed that to the province. But here they are, spending six figures, delving into federal spending on public pensions, which is really hard to justify as a public safety issue. Critics of all stripes are really saying this was outside of the VPD's lane, mi-jung.
So, Penny, is anyone actually doing an audit or analysis of the downtown east side resources to see what's working and what isn't? Because a lot of people would agree that that needs to be fixed.
You know, it doesn't sound like it, but in fairness, it's really hard to do a proper job of this. It's complicated. It would take years. And the measure of success really depends on who you ask. What is clear from the reports is that collecting numbers and stats doesn't add that much to the conversation, especially when there is no reference in them to the root causes of the issue and how they can best be addressed.
All right. Thank you, Penny.